Hi everyone, it's JCL Tutorials once again and welcome to my channel. I appreciate the fact that you clicked this video and you are joining me once again to have a quick discussion on something that has to do with the new social studies that has been introduced. Have you noticed any changes? Have you noticed something that you are not too clear with? We as teachers, we have to help ourselves. I have always said that the program as proposed by NACA and the GES, it's actually a good one. When you look at the build-up, how the topics have been arranged, what they call strands and substrands now. If we look at the entire arrangement, we can tell that indeed the social studies itself has been taken to another level where the scope has been broadened. So we'll be looking at the scope and sequence. I'll show something to you and look at how learners, or we should encourage our learners to go about it, because the things are many now. When you look at what we used to study in the previous curriculum or syllabus, you observe clearly that we had 27 topics. And these 27 topics, you have to complete them as the children prepare to go and write, or the candidates prepare to go and write their final exam. What I observed is that there's been additions to the new one. And when you look at the old one, year one or basic 7, you are supposed to teach them 10 topics, 10 topics also for year 2, and then you have 7 topics for year 3, which is basic 9. Now, in the new one, there's been a drastic change, what I see as an upgrade. So an upgrade has been done. There's been a lot of additions, topics that we've seen. Those of us who have been in the senior high school have been brought down to the level of the basic school. So the basic school students or the learners are also supposed to have a taste, okay, a bite on such topics before they progress to the senior high school level. We'll be looking at those ones too and see how we can encourage or motivate the children to go about them. The learners themselves have challenges. Looking at the old one, the old syllabus, some of the topics there are complex and they have complained about how to cover them before they go and write their final exams. But you know, on this channel, JCL Tutorials, I try my best to digest everything and put them to smaller bits so we can all consume. It helps our students or learners and also the teachers as well on how to approach this subject called social studies. I did some analysis and some breakdown of what we have at hand and what is ahead of us and our learners as well. So let's see the scope and the sequence. I'll show you the scope and the sequence. So when you pick every syllabus, what they call the curriculum now, you see strand and the substrand. They used to call it topics. Now we have strand and substrand. It makes sense. So let's see what is there. We have 6 strands: environment, family life, sense of purpose, law and order, socioeconomic development, nationhood. You see these. We used to have something like aspects in the old one. So first change, you observe that the aspects, the things have changed. We used to have the environment. We used to have governance, politics, and stability. Then we had socioeconomic development or social and economic development. That one alone should tell you that a lot of things have been added, or the additions that I spoke about in my intro. Now let's see, under the environment, there are 4 substrands. You realize that there's environmental issues, mapping skills, understanding our natural world, our natural and human resources. Under the previous syllabus, you see environment and environmental problems, that first topic that we used to study. Then mapping skills, well, was under basic 8 or year 2, as mapping our environment has been brought here. The interesting thing is that this new one compared to the old one, when you find mapping skills, you are going to have students also study something on mapping skills in basic 8 or under year 2. You see, are you following? So there is always a build-up. What exactly are we going to learn in year 1 under mapping skills? And is it connected or related to what we are going to learn in year 2? And if there is something also on it in year 3, which is basic 9, what item is there to be learned, or what new thing is there to be learned? That's one interesting thing about how this thing has been built, or this new syllabus has been built. Now, so let's see. Environmental issues. You notice that under basic 7, there's something you learn. Under basic 8, there's something you also learn. That's why the 3 of them have been, all the levels have been ticked here. Mapping skills. There is something under basic 7, there is something under basic 8. Understanding our natural world, basic 7, basic 8. Our natural and human resources, it is only basic 9 that we are going to have something on it. There is going to be an item there that we will learn before the final exam is written. Now, let's see family life. Under family life, adolescent reproductive health, the family, socialization, population. When you check all of these, you ask yourself, in basic 8, is there something there that I'm going to learn as a build-up of adolescent reproductive health? No, under basic 8. No, under basic 9. Yes, family life. There is something we'll learn under basic 8. There is something we'll learn under basic 9. So you check it. Now, the ones that cut across all the years or the levels, I'm going to pick them and see what they did over there. The environment. Let's go to environment as a strand. And then environmental issues as a sub-strand. The issues, now let's come to basic 7. You will notice that in basic 7, they did something. In the old syllabus, we used to have this pollution, air pollution, the forms of environmental problems or environmental challenges. When you look at the forms, there are 3. What they did here, and I love that so much, they put all under the levels. So we'll get to know the types of environment, and then we'll get to know the relationship between the 2 types of the social environment, physical environment. Now, when you move further, I'm talking about basic 7 and the environmental issues. They now bring the issues on sanitation. So look at causes of sanitation, then effects, and then the measures. Then there's something on energy. There's a build-up on something on energy, because when you look at developmental issues, where countries are going now, countries are putting in a lot of effort to conserve energy. Okay, so the student or the learner must understand the use of energy, sources of energy, and in this IT world or technological world that we are getting into, we are already in that era. So what it means is that the child should come up and know what to use energy for, and how energy sources can be tapped or transformed to generate power. Okay, now C7, under basic 7, as we know the sources of energy, when we get to basic 8, we will now talk about water pollution and the environmental issues. You get it? Then we'll talk about air pollution in basic 9 and the environmental issues. So you see the build-up. The forms of environmental pollution have been placed, each of them has been placed under every year or in every year for us to study. And it makes sense. So I advise students to take it one after the other. Know the measures. First of all, know the causes, know effects, and know the measures at all levels. Measures, causes of water pollution, effect of water pollution, measures, control measures that can protect our water bodies or prevent pollution of water. Then you come to basic 8, you do same for basic 9, you do same for air as well. Okay, when you come to mapping skills, there's something on it, and I love the build-up. Here we look at the landmarks, conventional signs, meaning of map, uses of maps. So basically the child or the learner will know the meaning of the terms over there, who a cartographer is, know how to use the map, and know the skills, the various skills, the 3 types of skills, and know how to convert them. Then building up on that, if the child knows the measurements and knows the skills and knows what mapping our environment is, then we'll get to a level where the child can use it to plot or identify, take note of coordinates. You see, so that is where you get to under basic 8. That's the mapping skills aspect. So the child is now going to use those ideas and put them into real practice on paper. Sketch the compound, sketch the school environment, and then also map the area, map areas from the house to the school, the community as well, and do proper measurement and calculate actual distance and map distances. You see, if the teacher is able to take them one by one, the child will be able to have a total control over all these calculations and deal with them. In practical aspects, the child will be able to deliver. Yes, when it comes to knowing what to do on the ground. That will quickly cross to the family. The family has basic 7, basic 8, and basic 9 ticked. That means that there's something we are going to learn there. Interesting. Let's come to, yes, I like this part. I like this part. After the child has now learned about adolescent reproductive health, which was under the old syllabus. Here in the new one, that same topic is repeated as a substrand. The child now knows about the physical changes, emotional changes that he or she goes through. That learner is aware of those things and what he can do to ensure that he lives a healthy reproductive life. Let's see what then happens. The child is fully aware of that. Then the child gets to a point, still in that year, basic 7, the child will now know how and where to acquire values, attitudes, norms, knowledge. And that is a topic that has to do with socialization. So from adolescent reproductive health, the child is going to now build up and learn positive values, learn the culture of who? The family. You get it? So that is why they put that under the family. In basic 8, the child will now know how the family is formed, how it comes about, and every family always starts from an institution called marriage. That is what they are going to learn in basic 9. Now, in basic 8, what are they going to study? In the basic 8, you see that family itself will come, meaning of family, types of family, the inheritance system will follow. You get it? So from adolescent reproductive health, then the child moves ahead to study socialization, knows how values are acquired, agencies that transmit knowledge from one generation to another. Then the child can now understand the concept of socialization. The child now moves further to basic 8 and also get to know the family itself as an institution and then learn the types. Then how does the family come about? And that is what the child is going to learn in basic 9 as marriage. So marriage issues will come in, then the purposes of marriage and all those things. So you see the build-up. It means that as a teacher, you cannot teach any of these substrands in isolation, especially if they cut across. If the substrand cuts across and it's under basic 7, basic 8, basic 9, like what I've just demonstrated or said here. Socialization is there, population is there. It's also under family life because 1 or 2 people are joined, man and a woman, they give birth, and then that is where we start knowing the numbers. So the numbers grow when the families reproduce, which means that the family must also take into consideration how many people they are adding to the entire nation or the population. And that is where concerns start coming in. Do we have negative effect of rapid population growth? Do we have positive effects? The child will begin to analyze, or the learner will begin to analyze all these things before he or she gets to year 3, which is basic 9. Now see population, it also cuts across. So if they know the terms population growth, rapid population growth, population census, and the meaning of population itself, if they know all these things, they move further to go and learn about the population structure in the subsequent years. Now let's come to sense of purpose. We see something done here nicely. So under sense of purpose, the child in year 1 or basic 7 will learn self-identity. He knows himself, he knows his abilities, capabilities, and his complete being. That is self. That is self-identity. Then it moves further, basic 8. As you know your abilities and your skills, you must give to your community. So the individual and the community now comes in. That will also be studied under basic 8. Then that child will now extend whatever he or she has as a value or knowledge from the community level to the national level, and that is what they will study under culture and national identity in basic 9. So it means that they are now going to learn, acquire, obtain ideas to live in the nation as one people and have a common sense of togetherness. And that is what that substrand 3 and the sense of purpose introduces or teaches the learner. Yeah. So the teacher can also strategize and pick it from there one by one. So you can do the same analysis and you realize that indeed the things are many, the topics are many, and a lot of things have to be taught here before the child writes the final exams. Where the issue is, the problem I've had is that the previous syllabus haven't added a lot of things to the year 7 topics, which means that the time left for a candidate to write the exams, at least that child can write mock exams and still study the 7 topics. That was what we used to have under the old syllabus. But now things have changed. The book or the year 3 content looks very voluminous, big, huge, and a lot of things are there to study. You see so many topics under law and order. You are learning the 1992 Constitution, peace and security, promoting democracy and political stability. All these ones are there. Then you now get, and when you check each of the substrands that I'm mentioning here, that you are seeing on the screen, you realize that I have a lot of things to learn over there. Especially, you go to a place like financial and investment issues. When they talk about the employer and employee, and then the SNIT issues come in. Science and technology is also the loaded. Then the republics loaded. That's year 2, basic 8 alone. The republic, a lot of things concerning our history, and all must be taught. Then it moves to the regimes, military regimes, civilian regimes. All these things must be studied before the child writes the exams. That is where the work is. We as teachers have to do our best and strategize. It is not easy. Perhaps some extra classes will need to be conducted, and the children must also pick up. But making it easy for them to understand, I think, will also help them love the subject. They will do more reading ahead before class. In another video, I'll try as much as possible to come up with what we should expect in terms of where things are going now, the topics and how questions can be set, and what the teacher must do to cover up in order to capture the various areas and also know the kind of questions, how practical the questions will look, and what WAEC could be doing. We need to be ready so our students do well and come out with flying colors. Thank you for watching. See you again.